Good morning. My name is John Barney. I am the Planning Manager for Parks, Recreation, and Open Space at Bernalillo County. With that, I'm going to take off my mask. And I'm here to welcome you to an update on the plans for renovating Dolores Huerta Gateway Park, or I should say Dolores Huerta South Valley Gateway Park. It's a long name. And we're really excited about to welcome you on behalf of the Bernalillo County Commission and Commissioner Stephen Michael Quesada of District 2, and also my director, my boss, Debbie Jo Almaguer, who is, and the rest of, I should say, the rest of our Parks and Recreation staff. And also would like to welcome you on behalf of the design team for this project, which includes Bianca Encinias from South Valley Main Street, Amy Bell from New Mexico MainStreet, who are been leading this project since its inception and been funding it. And also Emma Darnberg M, who are the landscape architects consultants on this project for us, and with whom we work on a number of other projects. So again, we're here to just update you on the plans for renovating the park. It's exciting. We're very close. We're at 90%, going into 100% in the next couple weeks. I would also just actually, before I really get into talking about, kind of our perspective and our excitement about this, I just hope that all of you are all safe and well in this time, COVID-19, and also just that this is the first time we've actually done one of these community meetings or community updates this way, but it may be something that you will see more often than not over the next 6 to 9 months. Before I turn it over to Bianca and Amy, just I want to put in a plug for our planning process that will be coming to you sometime in 2021. I'm looking to put out a survey in March 2021 to look at how we can update our capital improvement piece of the plan. We do that, try to do that every 5 years, to include the projects that are most important to the entire county community. So I hope that you all will participate in that process actively, and this may very well be one of the projects that will then move forward in the next period of time if there's the kind of interest that we've seen during the public process for this. So anyway, so that's there, and really again, thank you for your attention, and with that I'll turn it over to Bianca Encinias.
Good afternoon, hello, welcome. My name is Bianca Encinias and I'm the Executive Director for the South Valley Main Street, and we're excited to have you join us today. This is a follow-up meeting to our community meeting that was held in February of 2020. Originally, we had planned to have a community meeting to share with all of the community members the 90% renderings of this project. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we're not able to be face-to-face with each other. So thanks to the efforts of MRWM, New Mexico Main Street, and Bernalillo County, we developed this idea of creating this video to ensure that the public is constantly involved in the process in improving the Dolores Huerta Gateway Park. I'm going to take us back for a minute. I'm also as the farm market manager for the La Familia Growers Market, which is a project of the South Valley Main Street. So when I first started here in 2016, as myself and many of the farmers and the other vendors were sitting outside in the park, we realized how hot it was. And then we realized that we were in the dark because it's an evening farmers market. So based on our experiences at the park every Friday evening from 4:30 to 7:30, we identified some challenges at the park, and we started to ask some questions about how could we go about making some design improvements. So we sought the help of the New Mexico Main Street. The New Mexico Main Street, which is under the State Office of Economic Development, will provide technical assistance to all main streets. So they provided us with a landscape architect, Amy Bell, who will be speaking in a minute. Then we also partnered at the time with Commissioner Stephen Michael Quesada, who attended our first community meeting that we held. We did some visioning, and we identified what we would like the park to be, meaning more trees, more lights, etc. MRWM will speak about that later, right? So as we went through this visioning process, we developed some initial renderings, and we were invited by the state, New Mexico Main Street, to respond to an RFP in capital outlay. We were awarded $51,400 in capital outlay, which we brought in and was provided to Bernalillo County to manage, right? through that process, we collaboratively, the South Valley Main Street and Bernalillo County, went through an RFP process and we selected the MRWM landscape architecture firm, which is a unique process by the fact that community members were involved in the selection of the architect firm for this project. Then after that, MRWM was selected and we kicked off our first official community meeting with the capital outlay in February of 2020. So here we are today at 90% renderings. And if you all remember, for those of you who went to the February meeting, we had made quite a few decisions. You all voted on one of 3 stages. So you'll be seeing some of these renderings. So I want to be very clear that this was a community initiated and community led project. And we're working in partnership with Bernalillo County and the New Mexico Main Street. And we're very appreciative of the capital outlay funding that was provided to us by the New Mexico Main Street and the support of our county commissioner and Parks and Recreation and Open Space. What I'm going to do right now so we can get this going forward is I'm going to introduce Amy Bell, who is our landscape technician or technical assistance provider from the New Mexico Main Street.
Thank you, Bianca. Hello, everyone. And as Bianca said, my name is Amy Bell. I am New Mexico Main Street's revitalization specialist in urban design. And so as Bianca mentioned, due to South Valley Main Street's accreditation as a Main Street organization, the county and the community have access to free state-provided technical assistance in all 4 points of the Main Street approach. And so I had the pleasure of assisting with the design technical assistance for Dolores Huerta Park, which, as Bianca noted, included a very high level of community engagement facilitated by South Valley Main Street and the county. And as John mentioned, this process started several years ago and has truly been in response to the need for this park to better serve the South Valley community through targeted design improvements. So upon completion of the master plan, as Bianca noted, South Valley Main Street successfully applied for New Mexico Main Street specific capital outlay. So this is capital outlay funding that is only available to Main Street communities. And the county was awarded the $51,400 in funds to support the development of construction-ready documents and project implementation. So again, as Bianca noted, MRWM Landscape Architects was selected as the design consultant to complete these construction documents. And so I will now hand it off to Christina Warenko, landscape architect and associate with MRWM, to talk about the design.
Thank you, Amy. So when we last met back in February, we shared these updates to the master plan that New Mexico Main Street originally developed with South Valley Main Street and the community, as Amy and Bianca both mentioned. So changes to the master plan included the relocation of the proposed stage and gateway shade structure to the edge of the pond so it can serve for both small and large gatherings. So small gatherings faced towards the market here, and potentially if there are ever larger gatherings at this park faced towards this surge pond, and these accommodate an audience seated in the grass of the surge pond. So this change here precipitated the relocation of the 3 northernmost existing shade structures to the edge of the Acequia Walk. We've located one here, here, and here, as you can see on this graphic. And they will be moved as part of this first phase of work. And they provide visual cues that the park continues around the edge of the pond, and then they provide a shaded seating location for people who walk the pond. This can be a circuit that people complete as part of their exercise routine. Since then, we have also added, since we met with you in February, we've also added to the master plan for a future phase of work, this concrete pad in the bottom of the pond that could serve either as an alternate stage if the pond is muddy, if the event occurred right after a rain event, then the concrete pad could be the dry spot and serve as a stage, and the audience could instead sit up on these retaining walls around the edge of the pond and view the stage. And then in normal dry conditions, the concrete pad serves as ADA seating when large audiences are seated in the pond itself. And the master plan now also includes the suggestion to reconfigure the transition from the market area to the Acequia Walk that's in the area of the new Orno. And so sort of making a nice gateway transition between these two parts of the market is a suggestion for a future phase of work. When we last met, we had completed schematic design for the first phase of construction, and that schematic design has now been refined and turned into buildable construction drawings. We submitted 90% plans a couple of weeks ago and are in the process of fine-tuning a few technical issues, and we will have 100% plans ready to go and submitted to the county and New Mexico Main Street and South Valley Main Street at the end of this month. So as we showed you in February, we are adding new trees to the major walkways in the market area. Those are these green trees that you see on the plan. All of the green trees are new. Just the gray circles indicate the trees that are already there in the park and in the market area. So these trees will add to the shade cover. We are also adding a new stage and a custom shade structure between the market area and the surge pond here. There's a wide paved area in front of the stage for dancing and built-in seat walls, these kind of gray squiggles behind the dancing area. These gray seat walls are built in to provide seating for watching performances. So what we did is we took some of these existing organic curved lines in the pond and we pulled them into the market area to sort of join these two areas. The market area is very rectilinear and square, and the pond is very organic and curvy, and with bringing these lines into the market area, we're joining the areas together. And there are several changes to the market area itself down in the lower left corner that I will show in more detail on the next slide. And then over here, where the park currently has an amphitheater that is highly underutilized in its current location, we've been asked to remove the seat walls and instead put in turf grass and shade trees. So that's what we're showing here. We're also taking out the little half moon concrete stage, since our stage will now be over here, and extending the sidewalk from the ADA parking straight through this area. And we will still have the seat wall around the perimeter of the grass area, and there are several existing picnic tables also around that perimeter. So this will make a really nice family gathering space when it's done. And so then this slide shows the market area in more detail. So in the main market area, we're adding permanent, robust overhead string lighting. That's this blue dotted line. It goes back and forth from the existing shade structures to some new poles set at this new line of trees. We're also adding precast concrete benches. These two benches on the right, called twig benches, are a pre-manufactured precast concrete bench. We'll have 3 with backs, like this top dark one shows, and 6 without backs. And they can be configured in multiple different arrangements, and we've tried to put them in here to allow for groups or individuals to sit and have flexible seating arrangements, and where they can kind of gather together and face one another, or if there's just one person who wants to sit a little bit further off, this allows for all different arrangements of seating. And then, as I mentioned, we're adding additional shade trees to this market area as well. They're pushed quite close to the existing trees, so we can maintain traffic area in front of the market stalls. These red squares are where the tents typically go, and trucks can still pull in here under the lights between the trees and the shelters to unload and set up. And then we also are adding electrical hookups for food trucks. So these food trucks can plug straight in and won't have to have generators and participate in the market in a more formal fashion. So this area is designed to be flexible, to allow for multiple arrangements for the market stalls and tents, but also to include the amenities that the community asked for, the seating, the shade, and the lighting. And then finally, we have some more details on the shade structure. These are the drawings that we showed at the last community meeting. It's designed, and this is the structure, as Bianca mentioned, that was voted on by those members of the community who were present at that meeting. This was the one that was, I think, unanimously selected to move forward with. And this rendering over here shows how it faces the market area and provides sort of a smaller, more intimate setting, and then a larger cover reaches towards the pond on the other side, so you could turn the performance around and face the pond, and you can see how that looks in a section over on the left, as it would work in either event. Now the roof of this structure will be made up of multiple panels with perforated patterns meant to mimic papel picado flags. And so the design scheme that we decided on includes corn, beans, squash, these are blossoms and leaves, and then chili to represent the agricultural nature of the South Valley and tie into the use of the park by the La Familia Growers Market. And the colors for the panels you can see on the left here were chosen to complement the existing colors in the existing park mural and the public art installation in the park. We're really excited about this shade structure. I think it will really be a unique focal point for the park. And those are all the design changes and updates. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Bianca to talk a little bit about schedule and funding.
Thank you, Christina, for that report back. And sorry, I just wanted to address a few things. And sorry I didn't do this in the beginning, because this is, like John said, our first time doing this. So we're having a lot of lessons learned. But first of all, I would like to say that this is part of a bigger project. As many of you are aware, Bridge Boulevard will be going through redevelopment. In fact, phase 1 has already started at Bridge and Coors. So what the county will be doing is developing a new streetscape and a new landscape. So you'll be seeing new lights, new trees, and wider sidewalks, which make Bridge Boulevard more pedestrian friendly. And that's very important because it's all connected to Dolores Huerta Park, which is at the corner of Bridge and Acera. So everything that we're doing from a design perspective falls in line with the redevelopment of Bridge Boulevard. And the redevelopment of Bridge Boulevard and the Dolores Huerta Gateway Park isn't just about the physical redevelopment, but it's about, for many of us who grew up in the South Valley or lived in the South Valley, some of you, I'm a little too young for this one, I think I was 2, but some of you will remember the La Familia Growers Market, which was in this location. And then during my generation, I remembered it as McDonald's, and then it was an empty lot. And then the community, in partnership with Bernalillo County, developed what we now know today as the Dolores Huerta Gateway Park. So I just wanted to flag all of the different projects that are going in this area. And the goal of that was to create revitalization, because at one point when you speak to the elders in the community, they share stories of their children walking along the acequia, going to the La Familia supermarket, and community members would hang out there. It was a place of community gathering and economic redevelopment, right? So what we're trying to do is to revitalize that space for community gathering and economic development. So I just wanted to connect all the dots, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, because many of you have been involved for many years. But for those who aren't, that's how everything is connected. So as Christina said, all of this has been community-led, community-initiated, even from voting on which stage we want it, and really advocating for a papel picado motif that we felt could complement all of our different cultures and ethnicities that exist here in the South Valley Main Street. So the goal is by the end of August that we will go from 90% to 100% construction ready documents. And what that means, and it's very important for us, is that it means that we can start to go after funding. Because if you're going to go after any sort of funding, including capital outlay, you have to have what they call construction ready documents. It means that your project is ready for construction. You've passed the phase of planning, right? So for those of you who don't know, 100% construction ready documents means that we're ready to go. We just need the money, right? So what we're doing right now is we're working with Bernalillo County Parks and Recreation and Open Space. And of course, as always, County Commissioner Stephen Michael Quesada from District 2 will be having actually a conference call next week where we're going to start to identify some different funding sources. One of them is coming up this year. It's going to be a competitive application process or a process. The New Mexico Main Street has capital outlay available for accredited main streets. Now, I want to explain there's multiple main streets who have construction ready projects. So our goal is to be at the table with our 100% construction ready documents so that we are high in the priority. We also will be targeting understanding that COVID-19, we're in the middle of COVID-19, and there's going to be a lot of priorities that are going to supersede this one, or there may not be funding for these types of projects right now, but we're still going to have the goal of targeting the 2021 state legislative capital outlay. We also want to start having discussions with the county about the future possibilities of being involved in this project, getting funding from the Bernalillo County Mill Levy. We're currently looking at federal funding sources, such as the NEA Town grant. In May, we submitted a grant to the USDA for the La Familia Growers Market, which impacts the Dolores Huerta Gateway Park. We're also looking at some new state funding. John just sent me an email, as well as the New Mexico Main Street, about some outdoor recreation funding that the state will have that's federal funding. And then we're also hoping that if this, like John said, we're currently not a priority project in the PROS plan, and there's a lot of really awesome projects in the PROS plan that are all very important. Sorry, the light goes off here. Energy efficiency at work. So there's a lot of very important projects in the PROS plan. So we're hoping in the future to be included in that. And what that means for us is then potentially we could be prioritized for the 2022 Bernalillo County GO bond. And I just want to say, as the South Valley Main Street, my board of directors is comprised of community members who live, work, and play here, right? They're executive directors of nonprofits, they're residents who moved here recently or were born and raised and went to middle school, elementary school, and high school here, right? So we represent the community voice, and the community has very clearly told us through various surveys of which we weren't even looking for information on the park, that they have some concerns about the park in terms of the shade and all the things that Christina addressed, and that they would like to see this park become more of a gathering space for the community members who live, work, and play here. So I'm going to pass it over to John and see if he has anything to add.
So the mill levy that we currently have in place, and it's not to suggest that there couldn't be other mill levies. In fact, it would be great if we had a mill levy that was really geared towards agriculture, for example, and fostering agricultural projects such as this, where it has to do with local growers who are selling their local food in this place. But right now, our mill levy is geared towards open space, and there's like a lot of restrictions on what we can use it for. So other than that, I mean, but we could in the future foreseeably have a mill levy that supports either community health or local food. We do already have a percentage tax that's just specifically for behavioral health issues, but we could have one that could be for community health as well. So I think that's again something that we can look at from a community organizing and collaboration standpoint, to bring forward. I mean, none of these things are in a vacuum. I mean, a park, functions for community health. It's part of our cultural heritage in this place. It's awesome. I always think that my favorite thing as a planner is when one of our facilities that I help, do something to shift, becomes a basis for economic development, for jobs, for people, making money and, and bettering their own situations in their communities, and especially when it's related to local food and health issues. And so we're going to work very closely with New Mexico Main Street and South Valley Main Street to try to, look at ways we can collaborate on various grant funding sources. It's a very grantable project, and I mean, we're optimistic. And yes, one last plug, participate in the upcoming update to our PROS plan and this project, especially those of you who are really invested in this project, that can actually elevate it to a, much like other groups in the community got the, organized around certain projects such as the South Valley Pool or the Arenal Open Space. This could be another one of those projects that we could really, we could bring forward and really make some changes that really help the community to be able to help this site meet the community's needs better.
And I just wanted to say thank you, John, for those really innovative ideas. And I think that's what's really awesome and groundbreaking about this project, right? Is that this part of the process of this project is starting to educate community members, including myself, on these different financial tools that exist out there, so that we understand how projects are getting funded and the different types of sources that we can tap into for projects that we'd like to see done. And then when there is maybe, I don't know if challenges is the right word, but as John was clarifying, the Mill Levy currently is for specific funding sources, but he came up with this creative idea. It's like, well, maybe we could have some discussions about creating other sorts of funding tools to get this project done, right? So this is, I think that's an important aspect of this project, is that it's educating all of us, that we're working together as community members, as state government officials, as technical assistance providers, as staff people from Bernalillo County and our county commission, bureaucrats, to learn together how we could build these projects and how we could support each other, right? The other thing I'd also like to recognize is that, like John and I have flagged earlier, we're doing this because of COVID-19, and many of us are working from home and have our children, so we're balancing things, right? We're balancing our children, we're balancing work, and we're trying to get all these projects done as we're going through this public health pandemic. So I say that because what I asked for today is your patience and understanding with us, because this is our first time using this kind of format, and it was the only way that we could think of to continue the community engagement. And it's not just about community engagement, because like I said at the beginning of this conversation, this has been a community-led and initiated project. And the last thing I'll say is, I think that this project, and I think John has flagged it earlier, that it's new for the county and it's new for us as well, right? But I think it's a model of how we could get projects done in our community, where we can come together as the Bernalillo County, as the New Mexico Main Street representing the state, and as the South Valley Main Street representing a certain portion of community members, how it's a model for how we can collaborate, identify some challenges, come up with some solutions, and then collectively secure the funding. And then I'm hoping when it's all built, then we can collectively have a celebration at the Dolores Huerta Gateway Park. So I just like to take this moment to thank everyone for participating. Thank you, John. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Amy. Thank you to County Commissioner Stephen Michael Quesada. And thank you to Parks and Recreation and Open Space Director Debbie Jo Almaguer, and all the staff at the county for all your support and helping to get this project accomplished. And if you have any questions or comments, you can contact the South Valley Main Street at gmail.com. Thank you.